Okay, so hello everybody. I am Professor Matthew, and this is Assistant Professor who's right next to me here.
Hello, everyone.
And I will be teaching you about Warren Washington.
Next slide, please.
Next, okay. I am Professor Matthew Spann. I am a native to Northwest Indiana. I attend Indiana's Connections Academy and I am in 4th grade. My favorite subjects are weather, natural science, history, and geography. And I really like creating with Lego sets, swimming, football, and creating stories. Black history is important to me because it teaches me about my past, present, and future.
Next slide, please.
Next slide, please. Okay. Let's help everyone have fun. Listen to the speaker. Email us when you have a question. Explore the book shared today. Have fun and share what you learn with others. Okay. Who was Dr. Warren Washington? He was born on August 28th, 1936 in Portland, Oregon, to Edwin Washington Sr. and Dorothy Grace Martin. Warren Washington is a Black climatologist, which means that he studies the climate, and the climate is the pattern of weather that happens over hundreds and thousands of years. He worked a lot with computers to model the weather. His models help meteorologists, people who study the weather, forecast the weather. How did he reach his goals? He became interested in science in grade school, just like me. In 1958, he earned a bachelor's degree in physics from Oregon State University. In 1959, he was a mathematician at Stanford Research Institute. In 1960, he earned a master's degree in meteorology from Oregon State University. In 1963, he joined NCAR as a research scientist. In 1964, he earned a doctorate in meteorology at Pennsylvania State University. These were his strategies for overcoming barriers. How was Warren Washington successful? Washington worked to incorporate the oceans and sea ice into climate models. He wrote more than 150 publications, including an introduction to three-dimensional climate modeling. He has a biography called Odyssey in Climate Modeling, Global Warming, and Advising 5 Presidents, which was later edited by his wife, Mary. He served on the National Science Board as a member 1994 to 2006, and as its chair 2002 to 2006. NCAR scientist Washington and colleagues from around the world shared the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize. Let's learn more. We have a short video to watch called Meteorology and Climate Pioneer.
What you should know about Dr. Warren Washington is that he literally is a legend in the field of weather and climate, irrespective of your color.
Dr. Warren Washington is a legend and a role model to many, including Dr. Marshall Shepard, who followed in his footsteps not only as a climate scientist, but as the second African-American president of the American Meteorological Society behind Dr. Washington.
I was one of the pioneers who built one of the first atmospheric models and then took later climate models. And those models are now being used for not only weather forecasting, but for understanding on the climate.
In 1964, Dr. Washington earned his PhD in meteorology from Penn State University during a turbulent time in civil rights and race relations in this country. He was only the second African American to earn the degree in the field and was quickly recruited by the newly founded National Center for Atmospheric Research, or NCAR, where he still works as a senior scientist. And in his spare time, he runs a large program at the Department of Energy. One of his greatest missions, pushing for more diversity in the science community.
I think one of the things that is striking to me is that a number of Hispanic and African American students who are in the field is very small. And I sort of try to encourage students. Actually, I've probably encouraged maybe 100 students or 200, I don't know, over the years to get into these fields. So serving as a role model helps convince kids that there are opportunities in fields that are not the traditional ones.
Throughout the years, he served as a science advisor to former Presidents Carter, Reagan, Bush Sr., and Clinton. And in 2010, President Barack Obama awarded Dr. Washington the National Medal of Science. That's the highest honor given by the U.S. to the nation's scientists, engineers, and inventors. With a career spanning over 5 decades, Dr. Warren M. Washington keeps paving the way to the future.
He imparted some advice and wisdom that I now impart to others because he gave that to me. Candidly, just for young people like me, just seeing him in that position tells me I can be there one day as well.
Okay, very useful information. And now we will learn more. We can learn more about what he did by reading the two articles, I should say, and the links. And then he has an autobiography, and there's a picture of it to the right.
Do you want to share the links about the climatology now? Okay, yeah. So then you're saying thank you, everyone, and then hand off to Professor Ernie.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And now we will hand it off to Professor Ernie.
NCAR is National Center for Research. Okay, so yes. Let's go.
Ms. Joyce, can you spotlight the other video, please?
sorry. It was just some technical difficulties. And thank you for the wondrous info about Dr. Warren Washington presentation, Matthew. And now it's time to move on to Rebecca Lee Crumpler. My name is Ernie Davis, Professor Ernie Davis, and I'm going to take it on right now. Who was Rebecca? Rebecca was born in Delaware on February 8th, 1831. She was raised by an aunt in Pennsylvania who often cared for sick neighbors who needed treatment. Many people came to her aunt's house, and young Rebecca helped care of the sick patients too. One of her famous quotes is, "I early conceived a liking for and sought every opportunity to relieve the sufferings of others." And that is a wondrous quote. And her aunt was known as a healer, a community member with no formal medical training. That means she was taught by herself. She wasn't taught by anyone else. What did Rebecca do to achieve her goals? In 1837, there were no black doctors, and white doctors could not take care of sick black people. But there came Rebecca. She wanted to help, so she went to nursing school, a school where you learn how to be a nurse. Rebecca was such a good nurse that her friends and family encouraged her to go to medical school, a higher school than nurse school that teaches you to be a doctor. And after working so hard in medical school, she applied and was accepted to the high degree, the only women's medical school. So the women's had all the things that you need. No matter. And she got excellent grades and earned a scholarship. And how was Rebecca successful? During the Civil War, Rebecca knew she was needed. Black soldiers had no one to care for them, so Rebecca rushed right there. In her final test, although her answers were correct, other white doctors did not want to pass her, but her teachers accepted, and she graduated. When Rebecca graduated, she became the first African American doctress of medicine. Rebecca went on and took care of women and children. She taught her patients prevention so they could avoid getting sick again. And she also published a medical textbook called A Book on Medical Discourses, using notes she kept over her career. Modern doctors must take a 3-part test before they can work as a doctor. And how did she reach all those goals? Well, she listened, she paid attention, she learned, she remembered, and she studied. 5 things you should do at school too. And here's an activity for kids. Those bones, those bones. To write her book, Dr. Crumpler made observations of the body, and so did I. I reviewed skeleton x-rays and made my observations. And you can see my observations in the pictures down below. I'll give you some time to investigate. Well, that's the end of Rebecca Lee Crumpler, and you can learn more in the Joliet and Fountaindale Public Library by reading these books. And next class, on March 27th at 1:30, I will be doing Charles Chuck Harrison and Josephine Baker. That's the end of Roots, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it. And last but not least, are there any questions or compliments?
All right, great job, Professors Ernie and Matthew. Do we have any questions out there? Let's see, we do have a comment that says, great presentation. Another comment, very informative professors and great job, professors. Wonderful job, scholars. So it looks like everyone thought it was a hit. Great job. Awesome presentation. Thank you, professors. I think we had a question earlier, right? We were wondering if Dr. Warren Washington is still alive. That was one question from earlier.
Yes, he is actually still alive and he is 84 years old.
Great, thank you.
I have a question, Professor Matthew. My question is, of the fields you talked about, which one are you most interested in?
And like his careers.
What do you have?
Oh, what do I have an interest in?
Based on Dr. Washington.
I think it's really interesting
You want to
because I want to be a meteorologist and use what he did so I can forecast the weather.
Thank you. Great answer. Okay, well, if we don't have any more questions, I just want to thank our guest presenter, Mr. Matthew. Phenomenal job. I learned so much. And our Professor Ernie with Dr. Crumpler. And we want to just let everyone know the Third Institute is having our first annual speech competition. Those students that want to join or are interested in having the ability to build your confidence in history and public speaking, and really just do what our professors did today. Any student, grades 1 through 8, can participate, and we will have our first information session on March 27th at 4 p.m. And here's 2 ways to register. You can go to the website and complete the sign up, or your parents or teachers or anyone can go send us an email and tell us that you're interested, and we'll make sure you get the link for our information session. We're going to have really fantastic prizes for children in all grade levels and goodie bags, and just a time to speak and talk about some of these awesome heroes and sheroes that we've been learning. And so with that, we thank everyone for participating, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you.